Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to HemingwayLand.com, your source, quality, affordable land in the state of Colorado. We are back this week, people, back with the fourth and final acquisition in the county of Los Animas in the southern portion of the state. This property we're listing today is very similar to the ones that we've been listing recently. It's in the same general region. It's in a different subdivision, however, but has many of the same features. For instance, it's a forested lot, it has utilities, it's close to Trinidad Lake State Park, and additionally, as we like to point out in these videos, it has no HOA, which means that there are no annual dues, no time limits on building. This subdivision, however, goes one step further than ones we have previously listed in that it has no recorded covenants or restrictions, which means no additional rules governing how you choose to develop the land. This, of course, will provide you, the potential buyer, with an even greater degree of independence than you will find throughout the state, throughout the county, and even throughout this specific region. Should be noted, guys, that this property also comes with the added feature of an abandoned RV on the land, which, of course, many of our buyers like. We will get to all that and more in today's video. For now, however, let's intro the property. This is reference number LACO-1977, located in Los Animas County, Colorado, in the southern portion of the state, specifically in the Spanish Highlands subdivision. This property is a scooch under 8 acres, 7.75 to be exact, and as you saw up top, we have this priced at $25,000. Down here on the listing page, people, we've got GPS coordinates. As with all of our listings, click any one of these, corner point, center point, whatever, and up on the Google Maps, the property shall appear. So, as always, guys, we like to first acclimate you within the state as to where the property is. A lot of people call, say, how close, how far is this from Denver? A lot of people know Denver, so Denver's up here, people, not terribly close to the property, roughly about 200 miles or 3.5 hours. In fact, if we right-click and measure distance on the Google Maps, you will see that it bears me out on that, 170 miles north. Of course, it should be noted, guys, that there's a lot down here in the southern portion of the state to take advantage of. Of course, plenty of towns, plenty of things to see in between. Most notably, however, do want to point out that here in northern New Mexico, you're not too far away from the Taos Ski Valley, some of the best skiing in the country. And Telluride, of course, is a little bit further west here within the state. Also bears noting that Denver sits... I keep highlighting this thing on the map. Let me stop doing that. Anyway, Denver is within the I-25 corridor along Colorado Springs over here and Pueblo over here. Those two roughly about 2.25 and 1.25 hours north of the subject property. Should be noted, of course, that all of these are here within the I-25 corridor, which the subject property sits in very close proximity to, just about 15 miles west of the I-25. So easy access to that, whether you're going south into New Mexico or north up into some of those aforementioned towns. The nearest town to the subject property is Trinidad, which is roughly about 10, 12, 15 minutes over here once you snake your way down through the kind of mountains over here, over to the 12. Of course, if you are not familiar with the town of Trinidad, we have photos, guys. As always, we have photos. Population, roughly 8,000 out here, give or take. We always like to show our buyers, potential buyers, what the nearby towns are like because it demonstrates to you that civilization is none too far away in the form of nearby hospitals. In case anything ever goes pear-shaped on the property, you don't have too far to drive to get in here to some emergency medical services. Additionally, of course, this is a developed town. We've got the City Hall, we've got the Public Library out here, the Justice Center. Got high schools and elementary schools in case you do have a family, you choose to develop the property, you want to know where they're going to school at, this would be the region. And as always, guys, we like to point out where the nearest Walmart are, where the nearest Walmart is, where the nearest big box stores are. We anticipate that if you are developing the property, you're going to need access to, aside from groceries, aside from supplies, some general building materials, which of course you can get at Walmart, or the big R stores, which I take it is a competitor to Home Depot or similar to Home Depot. Anyway, that all is in this region along with grocery stores and just some general supply stores out here. It's a regular small town, guys, is the point of this part of the video. Anyway, this is downtown Trinidad, bucolic, little southern Colorado town. Anyway, finally, guys, we wrap it up here with this overlook, this majestic overlook here, overlooking the town. Very nice. Anyway, but apparently you can come park your car up here, take pictures, etc. Additionally, do want to point out, guys, the subject property sits not only close to Trinidad, but also to the Trinidad Lake State Park, which is right over here. As always, we have photos of that. This, of course, is an excellent region for boating, fishing, jet skiing, general water-based relaxation, as we like to say. I believe, according to the Google search, that the fish that inhabit this region that are easy to find in this lake are the crappie, the perch, the rainbow trout, and the largemouth bass. FYI. So this is what the lake looks like in case you have not been. But this will be right here in your backyard if you elect to purchase the property. It should also be noted, guys, that the subject property sits in very close proximity, as you can see right here, to the Spanish Peak State Wildlife Area, and just south of the 12 down here, I have to zoom in to find it. Yes, the Bosque del Oso State Wildlife Area. If it's got 4 legs, you can hunt it out here, but most specifically, elk, mule deer, and wild turkey are apparently the things that people hunt most in these regions. Anyway, with all that said, guys, let's zoom in here on the subject property. Forgot to mention, I should note, guys, there's a bunch of different little subdivisions out here in this region. These carved out roads that you see out here. Rancho La Garita is one that we sold a bunch of land in. But this property is specifically right here in Spanish Highlands. This is where the Spanish Highlands subdivision is. Now, of course, as I zoom in on the map, you can see that the plat overlay is not available with the subdivision. So I'm going to direct your attention once more to the photo gallery where we have, helpfully, look at this, the Google Earth representation of the exact size, shape, location, general footprint of the land. This road right here is Mateo Way. The property sits just off Mateo Way. And in case you don't believe me, in case you think I'm making up random geometric shapes, you can also come down here to the plat map in which we evidence that, yes, this is what the property looks like, and that's where it is, 7.75 acres, lot 174. Back to the map for just a second. So the property's sitting right here. As we go to satellite view, what you can see is there's a number of developed home sites within this general region. Right here you've got one, here's another, over here, here, so on and so forth, really all surrounding the property. I will have you guys know that there are underground utilities in this region. I have seen these in other realtors selling land out here. I know that they exist out here. Our photographer did not get a photograph of them, but based on the amount of developed home sites you have around here, it is safe to say, even without me saying that cable, phone, internet access should be pretty accessible within this region and not difficult to get extended from out here on Mateo to out here on Mateo. Anyway, back to the photo gallery, guys, with photos from the subject property. As always, we get photos from the land that we list. So this is the road frontage here along Mateo Way. As you can see, this is pretty easily navigated by any vehicle type, even if you've got a Prius. I don't know that you can make it all the way up from Highway 12 to the property in a Prius. You might want to take a larger truck or off-road capable vehicle, but the point is the road right outside the property is very easy to navigate. We have another picture of this. Well-maintained dirt gravel road. Anyway, you've also got power here. By the way, I have to speculate that this is a county-maintained road. I don't know that for a fact, but usually when I see something this well-maintained in a region, that's usually what it is. Anyway, power here at the lot line. That, of course, should make it easier and less expensive to develop the property. Get power connected to whatever you decide to develop on the land. And additionally, there is some fencing that exists on the property. The entirety of the 7.75 acres is not fenced, but the northeast corner, you're bordering somebody's got a developed home site out here. It's probably this guy. Anyway, he's got his property fenced off. There's fencing there along the northeast corner. So you will at least have your northern, eastern boundaries dictated to you. Anyway, want to point out in this photo, guys, that leading up to the property, there's a bit of a driveway here on the land. It's kind of been carved out. And this gets into the aforementioned abandoned RV that we were talking about. You can kind of see it here in this one photo. And as we go through the gallery, we get closer and closer and finally close to the abandoned RV. So a lot of buyers really like when we find things like this on these properties. If this is not necessarily your idea of a great find, I understand, I can relate, but a lot of people kind of look at these as well, you can take the RV, you can refurbish it, I suppose. There are some adventurous types out there who would do such a thing. Additionally, however, you never know what you're going to find in these things. We had our photographer take a picture of the interior. This is what you will find in here, but you never know, guys. Maybe there's a winning lottery ticket inside this abandoned refrigerator. I don't know. The point is, we here at Hemingway Land buy these properties as is. We sell them as is. So if you do elect to purchase this property, the RV will come with it. You can refurbish it if you like. You can sell it off and try to make some money back on the thing. But the point is that does exist out there on the land and will become yours in this as-is sale. Anyway, further photos of the land. As I go through these guys, you will see that this is a nice forested lot. Some nice cutout areas, open space to develop or simply to camp and to park on. And this is one of the nice things about, and let me get into a little bit of the zoning here. This is one of the nice things about property that doesn't have covenants and restrictions, is that there's no one telling you how you can and cannot use the property. So RV usage, camping usage, of course, is certainly a possibility out here. Of course, you can also develop it into a nice home site. And one of the benefits when you have land like this, where again, no covenants, no restrictions, is that a home site could be something unconventional that's usually difficult to get permitted or difficult to do in other parts of the county, other parts of the state. Things such as tiny homes, things such as yurts, things such as shipping container homes. As long as they're built up to code, you can probably get away with them out here. Now, I should mention, I just talked about tiny homes. Las Animas County has land use guidelines that specify a minimum of 600 square feet to any structure built within its, let's say, jurisdiction. So if you are building a tiny home, I don't know if 600 fits your definition of tiny, 600 square feet, but that is at least what the rule is out there. So that's one of the few rules that you would need to be aware of outside from general Colorado building codes when it comes to developing the land. But the point is that it can be used recreationally, or it can be used to develop a home site on it, as a lot of the neighbors out there have done. Anyway, guys, I will fast forward through the photo gallery here and just direct your attention to the overhead shots. Actually, let me direct your attention to these beautiful HDR shots that we have of the land. Look at this. Gorgeous. Anyway, aside from this, excuse me, we also have the drone overhead shots of the property with the boundaries outlined here for you to get a better sense of, again, the size, shape, general location of the property, the footprint, the RV that exists on it, so on and so forth. And of course, you can also see from this some of the developed home sites out here. Looks like a pretty nice, pretty well-maintained region. And generally, I don't know if you can kind of make it out here in the video, but I encourage you to kind of scrutinize what some of these home sites look like in the distance here. You can see there's some pretty nice homes out here, and the kind of things that you would imagine also have the underground utilities hooked up at. Again, according to the photographer, underground utilities are right down here at the base of the road, and I've done enough research on the region to know that as well. So anyway, we also have, guys, drone video is going to be up here at the bottom of the page for you to watch. Of course, that'll give you an even better sense of the terrain, the surroundings, and the property itself. With all that said, there's not a heck of a lot to discuss in regards to zoning or covenants or restrictions. Usually we talk about that up here, but we've already sort of addressed it. So a couple things I do want to point out to you finally here with this. Number one, San Isabel Electric Company is the electric company that services this region. If you click on this link, it's going to take you to their website. We always encourage our buyers, if you're looking to develop the property, you have questions about the logistics or the cost involved in getting power hooked up to the subject property, always best to reach out to the local utility company. This is them. So if you contact them and you say, hey, I'm buying some land out in Spanish Highlands just north of Trinidad Lake. I know you guys have got power lines at the property. What do I need to be aware of? What's it going to cost me? I'm building a something or other out there. How can I get power to that? They're going to talk to you better about cost and logistics. Additionally, guys, also on the listing page, we have a link here to the Colorado Division of Water Resources. So we very much imagine that anybody who's developing a home site out here is going to be drilling a well. A lot of the neighbors have wells out here. Point being, this is the government entity that permits wells, that gives water rights, grants water rights within the state. And they actually have a really good website. So I always like to direct people's attention to this in these videos. If you click on this, it'll take you to their website. And they specifically have this well permitting page. If you click on the well permit map viewer, a lot of times buyers will call and say, what's the water table depth in a region? What's it going to cost me to drill a well? And I have no earthly clue is the short answer to that. You can do research on these things, but it's very difficult for us to pinpoint, to give you guys a for sure, you're only going to have to drill or spend this much amount of money. Point being, New Mexico has a website like this. It's not incredibly intuitive. It's not easy to navigate. Colorado, however, has a much better one. Anyway, if you go to this page, this is Las Animas County down here. If you zoom in on the Trinidad area, Trinidad Lake State Park over here, I'm going to pause the video. The subject property is up here. Hang on a second, guys. Found it. Point being, the subject property is up here along Mateo. If you can zoom in on the map, if you can find where Mateo is, you come over here, just click this well application and final permit thing. It's going to bring up a bunch of green dots on the map. The green dots are wells that have either been drilled or have been permitted in these areas. And if you look at, for instance, you can click on these green dots and you can see what the well depth is of these nearby wells. So this one, which is probably closest to the property, is 158 feet. I've looked at a bunch of maps at this point. I don't know, as I've said before, I don't know much about wells or well drilling, but I've looked at enough maps to know that 158 actually seems pretty reasonable, particularly up in these sort of mountainous regions here in Colorado. If we click on some of these other ones, we'll see that this one's 256. This one doesn't say. This one doesn't say. This one doesn't say. Hang on, we're going to find one that says. This one's 350. All right. So the nearest wells, at least the ones that show up on the map, are somewhere between 150 and 350 feet deep. It suggests to us at the very least that there is an accessible water table out here, though, you know, the degree of cost in something like this that's something that you'd want to call local vendors about, people who drill wells for a living, people who know these regions like they know the back of their hand, to utilize a cliche. Point being, you call them, you talk to them, say, hey, I'm looking at a property. It's out here in Spanish Highland subdivision. They'll probably know where that is, but even if you just say north of the lake, they'll probably have a sense of it, and they can give you a better sense of cost per foot of drill depth. They give you a better sense of realistically what it's going to cost, how long it's going to take, so on and so forth. So always best to research this kind of thing. Anyway, guys, finally, on the listing page here, we also have some helpful links to some of the aforementioned hunting areas, such as Spanish Peaks and Bosque del Oso. These are just some great things to do within the region, particularly if you're a hunter, and Trinidad Lake State Park is linked up here. And as always, guys, down here in the table, we have some links not only to the aforementioned electric and water utilities, but also to the county. If you want to talk to them about building codes, about planning and zoning, things you need to know before you begin to develop the land, we always have that down here helpfully for our buyers. So, with all that said, there's not a lot to talk about here, guys. Generally speaking, when there's not a lot of zoning and not a lot of covenants and restrictions, not a lot of depth we need to go into on these things. So if this is a property that appeals to you, you should know that we closed on this with Otero County Title, which means that we got title insurance, which means that we will be providing you, the buyer, with a warranty deed. So if all that's something that sounds like a road you want to go down, just come here, click the Buy Now button. It's going to take you to this secure checkout page. Now, people, let me stress, as I like to do in these videos, this is a cash purchase. There is no financing offer. So we are looking for a non-refundable, let me say it again, non-refundable $500 earnest money deposit to kick the process off. Here's the way this works, guys. I do not anticipate that you, the buyer, can or want to put $25,000 on a credit card, money over the internet, to a guy you've never met, disembodied voice on the internet. That's fine. Let's close through a title company. If you don't know what a title company does, they're a neutral third party. They handle the disbursement of the funds, the conveyance of the land, so on and so forth. Point being, the way that this process begins is you show us you're serious about this, you put down the $500, give us the information that we need, legal name for deed, for the sale purchase agreement, tax address, so on and so forth. Agree to the terms of service, click next. And on the very next page, you enter your credit or debit card information to place that non-refundable $500 earnest money deposit. Within 24 hours, we're going to have documentation to you in an email, sale purchase agreement. You sign it, we submit it to title, they do the rest. And in case, guys, in case I went too fast, in case you've never been through this process before, you've never bought land, you've never bought a house, we got a page on our website. It's called How It Works, Buying From Us. If you come here, scroll down, price $10,000 plus. That's what this property falls into. This is the process we recommend. If you're comfortable paying the whole thing with a credit card, we're not going to object to that. But we recommend to our buyers, let's get title insurance for the property. Let's close through a title company. It takes a little bit longer, but we believe it's worth your time because it provides a certain peace of mind to you. Whatever the case, this breaks down the process I just talked about, the deposit, the contract, opening escrow, etc. And if you want to get a sense of what that sale purchase agreement looks like before you put down any money, hey, what am I being asked to sign? That's a reasonable question. We've got it linked right here. Click this. It's going to bring up a generic version of one of our standard contracts. This, very simple, one page for signatures. You sign it, we submit it to title. And for the record, guys, title will not do anything until they have this contract demonstrating intent, signed by buyer and seller. And we do not draft these until we have your non-refundable $500. And by the way, guys, just want to point out, if you're not familiar, again, with the title escrow process, a bunch of buyers have reached out to us over time asking questions about this. We have helpfully compiled the questions and the answers to those questions on this page, Title Escrow Frequently Asked Questions page, which will walk you through a lot of the particulars about the process, the benefits to you, maybe some of the drawbacks, what the additional costs are, why we choose a certain company over another, so on and so forth. So if you read through this, if you're not familiar with the process, this is going to be an excellent sort of introduction crash course to how the title escrow process works. With all that said, guys, excuse me. With all that said, another great property here in southern Colorado. We really like this region, of course, because it's easy to find some land that you can buy at a really affordable price that doesn't have a lot of restrictions on it. This one, of course, has pretty much zero as far as covenants and restrictions go. Additionally, no HOA, no annual dues, all the things that our buyers typically like, and an abandoned RV, which comes with the property. So that right there, free with your $25,000 purchase of the land. Anyway, guys, hope you like this. If you have any questions, leave a comment here on the YouTube channel or shoot us an email, support@hemingwayland.com. As always, thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video.